the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, you give me all your loving and your hurt of loving.
Hi and welcome to Rockulele, and in this video we're going to be talking about playing rock and roll on a ukulele. And what a great song to start with, Buddy Holly's That'll Be the Day. It's really perfect for learning all the aspects you need to master rock and roll techniques on a ukulele. It's got an absolutely perfect iconic intro, and I'm going to be talking more about that intro towards the end of the video. It's got great rhythm. We can play it simple, we can play it advanced. It's got a perfect progression of rock and roll chords. It's got a lead break in the middle, and it's just a great tune to play ukulele on. And I'm going to show you in this video and break it down for you, starting simply and then moving more towards advance as the video progresses. If you feel you're getting anything out of my videos, then please feel free to like the video down below. I'd really appreciate that. Even better if you could subscribe to my channel, that would really help me. And if you've got any questions regarding any aspects of the video, please feel free to put a comment down below. I do read the comments and I will respond. Also, if I mention any learning materials throughout the video, then I will put links to them in the comments below so you can easily locate them also. So let's get started. The song is in the key of A, and I'm going to keep it in that key. Actually, there's a famous clip on YouTube of Buddy playing this on the Ed Sullivan Show. Obviously, he's using electric guitar and he's using E shape with his fingers, but with a capo on the 5th fret, so that puts it into the key of A. There's only 4 chords in total in the song. We've got A, D, and E7. And there's just a little smuttering of B7 in between the bridge and the chorus. So let's look at the structure of the chords. Now, what's slightly unusual about this song is it comes in on the intro when the vocals start. So it doesn't start with A. So we have the intro riff first of all, into E7, and then the song starts on the chorus in D. Oh, that'll be the day. So it's slightly unusual, not that uncommon in rock and roll songs. Some of Chuck Berry's songs do a very similar thing. After he has, you know, the famous kind of intro riff on Johnny B. Good, and he comes in not on the chord you would expect. I think Johnny B. Good, he plays in B flat, so he comes in on the E flat before he goes back to the B flat. So, okay, we're ready to get started now on the song. I'm going to recommend that we start by coming in with the vocal. So, whoa, that'll be the day. We'll leave the kind of a lead break intro in the E7 to a little bit later on in the video. From a rhythm perspective, you can just use a standard down, up, down, up. I'm playing in 4/4, so it's nice and simple. The only thing I would recommend is, because it's rock and roll, we really need to try and emphasize the 2 and the 4 of the bar. That's what's commonly known as the backbeat in rock and roll, and you'll often hear the drummer hitting the snare on the 2 and the 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So if you can do that, it really starts to sound more rock and roll-ish in its total flavour. From that song perspective, we're coming on the D. We've got 2 bars on the D, 2 bars on the A, then we'll repeat 2 bars on the D, 2 bars on the A, then we have 1 bar on the A, and the final bar is split between the E7 and the A. So I'll show you. So, well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. That'll be the day when you make me cry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's quite quick at the end there, because they split that 1 bar. So you've been, you know, really used to just playing a chord for 2 bars, and suddenly right at the end they throw in a bar and you've got half in E7 and half in A. So it's quite quick, but it's something that, you know, really adds to the flavour of that song. And so start slow and kind of move that up. So the rest of the song is all pretty straightforward. It's that standard down up rhythm in 4/4. The only other thing that will come in is that B7 chord just before the chorus. That's the way that I feel blue and that. So pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's a simple way to start getting into the song. Let's have a look at something a little bit more advanced on a rhythm perspective now, and look at trying to emulate what Buddy is actually playing on the guitar. And he's using a rock and roll or blues technique called vamping. And rather than just play the chord, he uses a variation of the chord on the actual backbeat on the 2 and the 4. So he plays, and then he does the same on the A. Vamping, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. So in this particular key, when we're playing on that D chord there, if we can use our little finger, and we're going to try and get our little finger onto our 4th string 4th fret, which if you hold it down and pluck the chord, you'll realize that you're actually playing a B minor chord there. And we do a similar thing when we go to A. We use our 3rd finger on our 2nd string 2nd fret. We actually get an F sharp minor there. But in all intents and purposes, they're not really that chord. They are the vamping variation of the chord. So we're only playing it on the 2 and the 4. And it may take a little bit of practice to get your little finger to do that. If you prefer, and it's something I was probably doing at the beginning of the video, I may just use my 1st finger on the D, if your finger's big enough and strong enough to hold down all those chords, and then I use my 3rd finger on the 4th fret 4th string. Takes a little bit of practice, but that is actually vamping. We just use that on the A and the D. We don't need to worry when we're on the E7, B7, etc. Just kind of play your standard strumming there. The other thing you can do with vamping is actually start dampening the sound on the vamping. And again, in this song, particularly when you hear Buddy's guitar just after the lead break, he goes into a real classic vamping technique. He's dampening all the time. So to do that and get that kind of dampening sound, the technique I use is I'm using that soft part of my hand here. So let's go back and just get the chord ready. I'm just holding down the strings nice and gently just in front of the bridge there, kind of a little bit of an angle, kind of pointing down to the floor there. And then I use my fingers to strum, because obviously I can't use my hand to strum because I'm using my hand to dampen the strings, and I'm using my fingers almost like a paddle. So backwards and forwards like so. May take a little bit of getting used to, but it's a really useful technique to have. When you first start, you might find it a bit awkward, maybe holding the strings too hard, or you're not holding all the strings, but just kind of keep at it. You don't need a lot of pressure, just very gently drop your hands down on those strings there, and then start moving your fingers backwards and forwards. I say like a paddle. There's no strict rule whether it's 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 1 finger. It's kind of get used to it first of all and see if you can kind of get that rhythm going. It's a really great technique to master, particularly for rock and roll blues, and actually many other kind of rock and pop genres, where you can then really get something extra out of that ukulele and really improve your soundscape when you're playing different songs. So you probably noticed that I tend to play a low G tuned ukulele. I find that really useful, particularly when I'm trying to take very guitar orientated tunes and transpose them onto a ukulele. It tends to work a lot better. However, you can still play anything on this video with a high G tuned ukulele, the re-entrant tuning like this one. So for instance, if we were playing that vamping riff and dampening, still do that on a high G. So we've covered most of the aspects of the song now. We've looked at the chord sequence, the rhythm techniques, the vamping and the dampening. Obviously there's two major pieces we now need to look at, and that's that really iconic intro riff and then the lead break in the middle. And they're actually quite closely related, so we'll focus on the intro riff first of all, because a lot of what's used in the intro riff is repurposed for the lead break in the middle. Now, as I mentioned before, Buddy uses a capo on the 5th fret on his guitar, and I think the reason he did that is he wanted to really rely on a lot of the open strings on the guitar to get that intro riff, which sounds really fast, but it's actually because he's using a lot of strings very close to each other in a really clever technique to give that really super fast sound. So he's played. Now the way to do that, and we can do that on the ukulele, is we're going to really be using the first 3 strings, so string 1, 2 and 3. String 1 and 2 we're going to use as open strings, and string 3 we're going to hold our fingers down on some of those frets. So the intro riff is 1 bar, so it's a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. And the first part is probably the hardest part really. It's a slide up. So we're going to use our 3rd finger on our 2nd fret 3rd string, and we're going to slide it up to the 4th fret, like so. And then we're going to pluck our 1st string, which is just open. So you need to kind of practice that because it might take a while to get that slide. So you don't want to play, it's just a nice easy slide, so that nice slur. So that's the first beat. The second beat, I move that down to my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret, and I just play that note and the 2 open notes next to it. So if I put the first 2 together, I've got, and the 3rd part I move down another fret. So now I've got, and then the last part I've just got now my 1st finger to move to the 3rd fret, just 1 note. So it's like this. I go into my E7. So you can see we're actually using quite a lot of the open strings. It makes it sound faster than it actually is. But it's a great one to kind of impress your friends with if you can learn that riff. It takes a little bit of practice, but it will well worth it. So then if we look at the lead break that he plays partway through, and what he does on that, he plays. So that starts with, he's using the 1st and 2nd string and on the 3rd fret and off. So 3, 0, 3, 0. Can use that slide again in there if you wish. And then he comes back down on that note. 4, 2, 0. And then he just brings in that 7th chord just towards the end of the break. So 2nd finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then into the vamp. into the intro riff as part of that. Quite a lot to learn there, and there's, you know, quite a lot to take in, but you know, it's really worth it if you can kind of work on those particular aspects. One, it improves your finger picking. It also opens up your mind to, you know, how you can mix kind of fretted notes to open notes as well, and it's also really great for learning timing. So you now need to put it all together. We've got our intro into our vamp and try and dampen. And then we've got our fast chord changes as well. All in all, it's kind of a delight to play, really. It's a really fantastic song, really impressive if you can kind of make that work on a ukulele. So the only other aspect to talk about is, you may have noticed that when I play along, I'm playing along with Buddy Holly's actual voice rather than the whole track. I've just got the voice that I'm actually playing to. So I'm using the advantages of AI to do that. It's a product that I subscribe to called Audio Strip, and that allows me to take the song and strip it down into its kind of element of what's people call stems these days. So, you know, drums aside, you know, the backing track and vocal, etc. Depending on the quality of the track, how well the AI can actually kind of extract that. So I do that. I pull out the vocal of the song that I'm about to cover. I then put it into, you know, an interface and make sure I've got my countings set, so I know when to actually come in and so on. But you might want to look at that as well. I'll probably do another video about how I use Audio Strip to do my tutorials. So have a look out for that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you again soon.